Hello everyone, welcome to an Ordinary Review with PJ. In today's episode, we'll get into this dark, dystopian, apocalyptic world created by the famed and acclaimed Australian filmmaker George Miller. It's the world of Mad Max. He first introduced this world to us in his movie Mad Max in 1979. It was about this Australian cop played by Mel Gibson who loses his family, ruthlessly killed by a biker gang who is out there to steal resources. It's a world that is falling apart. The societal norms are broken and there is war all over the place. And this poor, desperate cop loses his family in the process. But once his family is killed, he goes mad and then he's out for vengeance. And as he goes and extracts revenge on this biker gang, he also becomes this character of Mad Max who lives in this Australian wasteland, fights the warlord gangs to get resources and also help out people who are in need. He becomes this stoic, silent character whose only job is to hunt down these warlords and their gang members. This movie became a mega hit and it made Mel Gibson, who was a nobody before this movie, into a big star. George Miller followed up Mad Max with two more movies, Mad Max Road Warrior in 1981 and Mad Max Beyond Thunderdrome in 1985, which also starred Tina Turner. And then the series went into a pause. 30 years later, in 2015, George Miller was back. And this time, he introduced an even bigger universe, this chaotic world, took it to a completely new realm in Mad Max Fury Road. One of the best, most compelling action movies that I have seen in recent times. In fact, the movie was so good that it was nominated for a couple of categories, even in Oscars. The soundtrack of the movie by Junkie XL, Tom Holkenborg, is absolutely fabulous. One of the best that you'll get to hear. The movie starred Tom Hardy in the Mad Max role. But it was not his role that made the movie such an awesome movie. It was in fact a new character that was introduced in the movie, a character of Furiosa, played by Charlize Theron. And she's shown as this ruthless warrior who has a mechanical hand and who wants desperately to go back home from where she was kidnapped when she was young. But while doing so, she also wants to save these innocent girls who have been captured by this warlord called Immortan Joe, who has forcefully kept them as his wives, and he wants them to deliver babies for him, boys and heirs for his kingdom. And she wants to have all these girls escape from his clutches and in the process also go back from where she came. And in the process, Tom Hardy, who plays Mad Max, meets her and tries to help her. Well, if you have not seen Mad Max Fury Road, I would strongly recommend see. It was one of the best movies, action movies that came out and continues to be one of the best action movies. More so, you also need to see that movie because the movie that I'm going to talk about is a prequel to that movie. It's a prequel to this character of Furiosa, where how she became this ruthless warrior, how she was kidnapped from her home and brought and basically made a prisoner by one of these warlords. So today's review is about the movie called Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, a prequel to Mad Max Fury Road on this character of Furiosa. So here's my review. Let me start by saying that if you want to enjoy Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, or any of the Mad Max movies, first of all, you have to fall in love with this dark, chaotic, dystopian world created by George Miller. It's a world which is full of wasteland. It is a lot of killing, blood and gore. There's a lot of vroom chases of bikes and trucks and rigs and cars. People are just falling all over the place. A lot of war sequences continuously ongoing and a long chase sequence as this rig gets chased by all the biker gang and the others in this movie. If you love this kind of universe, if you love this wasteland, which is actually very enigmatically shot by the cinematographer, this vast Australian desert, which has nothing but orange hue, sand, there are dust storms, there are this night sequences where you can see the galaxies in this clear sky, beautifully expansive universe, but chaotic. And if you love this kind of play, then you will thoroughly enjoy this movie. Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga is a prequel. It's about a young Furiosa played by Alela Brown who's living in this idyllic place where they have all the resources that they need. And there is this biker gang who is desperate for resources, and one day, by happenstance, they find this place and they capture and kidnap the young Furiosa and take her to this ruthless warlord called Dementes, played by Chris Helmsworth. Chris Helmsworth wants to desperately find this place, and in the process, he ends up killing Furiosa's mother, who has chased this biker gang to the place where they had kidnapped Furiosa, but unfortunately she dies. And now Chris Helmsworth is holding young Furiosa as his prisoner. And in the process, he happens to find a place called Citadel, which is ruled by another warlord called Immortan Joe. And you will see a lot more of Immortan Joe in the movie Mad Max Fury Road. And here, Dementes wants to capture Citadel. He wants all the resources that he can get from Citadel. So he negotiates Furiosa's capture in return to the resources that Immortan Joe can give him. And Immortan Joe wants Furiosa because he thinks that she can be his wife and can deliver babies to him. But then Furiosa is nothing like that. She's this ruthless, she becomes this ruthless warrior who wants to escape and go back home. So now there is these two warlords who are fighting for resources, and in between there is Furiosa, who is trying to save herself and also escape home. Anya Taylor Joy plays this titular character of Furiosa in this movie. She's shown as this younger version of Charlize Theron, and she looks her part. She pretty much resembles Charlize Theron, and her getup is made so that she looks a younger version of her in this movie. And she does her performance very well. She's this, she's shown as this ruthless character who doesn't speak. She's almost mute in this movie with very few dialogues, but then her eyes speak. You can make out from her eyes the anger, the seething anger that she has, and the desperation of how she wants to escape from this place and go back home. She's well supported by Tom Burke, who plays this character who is a rig driver for Immortan Joe, and he wants to help her escape to her home. But unfortunately, he meets his end in a fight with Dementes. Chris Helmsworth, as this brutal warlord, is in a completely different avatar in this movie. He's this ruthless, crazy guy who wants to do anything and everything to capture resources. And he kills people like that's his regular business. Extremely ruthless character, well played by him. He has his long beard, he wears a cape, and he has this nice funny lines that he speaks in this movie. But then his ruthlessness and the tussle between him and Anya Taylor Joy is the highlight of this movie, particularly the climax sequence. So, like I said, if you like this kind of chaotic universe, lot of action, lot of blood and gore, then Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, is a decent prequel to watch after Mad Max Fury Road. It doesn't capture the heights of Mad Max Fury Road. I think that was an ultimate action movie. This doesn't go close to it, but it has a slightly different treatment, the way the movie has been made, and it's quite well done. And I'm sure if you'll enjoy this movie watching in light of that, particularly Anya Taylor Joy and Chris Helmsworth's performance. In terms of soundtrack, like I said, Junkie XL, aka Tom Hulkenberg, had done a fabulous job in the previous movie. That soundtrack was one of the best. Here, the soundtrack is not as inspiring, but still it holds on its own in the action sequences that you get to see in the movie. Overall, if you have seen Mad Max Fury Road and want to check out this Furiosa character, then do check out Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, in a theater near you. So there it is, the end of this episode. Thank you for watching, and thank you for appreciating my reviews. In case you're not able to check out this review on YouTube, you can always listen in as you go for a drive or you go for a walk on Apple Podcast or Spotify. I will continue to bring interesting reviews for all of you. Till then, do take care of yourselves.